So I got a question from Anuj on Instagram, and it said, what's the difference between the paradiddle exercises in groove exercises, this book, lesson 7 and 8. Those are paradiddle exercises. So what's the difference between these paradiddle exercises and the paradiddle exercises found in the book called Paradiddle Power? So I thought I would just go over, excuse me, thought I would just go over the difference between these two books, and there's actually a lot of overlap too. So let's start with the paradiddle section of groove exercises for the drum set. So the paradiddles in that section are between. Well, let me give you the too long didn't read version. So the difference between the exercises in this book and the exercises in Paradiddle Power. The biggest difference is that most of the paradiddles in this book are between the hands and the feet, and most of the paradiddles in Paradiddle Power are with your hands. There's some overlap, which we'll get into, but I would say that's the biggest difference. And I wouldn't say one's easier than the other. They're just kind of different parts of your brain, I guess you would be using. So let's do a really quick example of the difference. So in groove exercises, paradiddles are between kick and snare. And again, a paradiddle sticking is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So that's two singles followed by two doubles. And if we split that between our right foot and our left hand, that gives us right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Okay? Okay, so that's between your hands and the feet. That's what happens in groove exercises, this book. In Paradiddle Power, I don't have a print version of that. The hands are playing a paradiddle, and we permutate our bass drum. So we start on beat 1, then we move it to the and of 1, then we move it to beat 2, and so on and so forth. So that would sound something like this. So on and so forth. Okay, so that's the most quick explanation for the difference between these two books. You got to be able to do both. There's not one that's better than the other, or you should do before the other one. They're both kind of equally important. But as long as we're on the topic, let's go into some of the weeds about what makes these things so great. Let's go back to groove exercises. Let's start with that. So if you've played this book already, you know that we start with notes that are together. Then we work on notes that are separate. Then we get to paradiddles. And paradiddles, it's really, there's only 4 types of strokes that you can play on the drum kit. There's strokes that are unison. There's strokes that are separate. There's strokes that are doubles. And there's strokes that are buzzes. That's all there is. There's only 4 different types of ways that we can hit this drum, So combining doubles and singles is basically like 85% of the vocabulary you're going to have on the kit. And it just so happens that we have 4 really great repeating patterns in paradiddles. But you don't have to think about them as paradiddles. You could just think about them as combinations of singles and doubles. So we've got right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Then what we do is we take that whole thing and we shift it by a 16th note. So we've got right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Sorry. Then we move it again, and now we have the double starting it. So it's double, single, double, single. It's just like a backwards paradiddle. Then we have kind of one of the tricky ones, which is one that goes over the bar line, where it goes right, left, and then it does a left, so the double goes over the bar line. If you were watching our video, the last video about doubles, one of the hardest things is putting an accent at the end of a double. Easy to go on the first note, hard to put an accent on the end of it. And that's exactly what this paradiddle forces you to do. Which is, it sounds a lot like kind of the funky drummer. Okay, so let me run through all 4 paradiddle inversions. Number 1. Number 2. Up. Number 3. Number 4. I kind of messed up giving them numbers because in this book I give them letters. So I say inversion A, B, C, and D, right? So if we've got 4 things, whatever they are, doesn't matter. If we've got 4 things here, we can start to make grids, and that's what we do in this book. I call them combinations. I don't really talk about grids in the book. But the combinations we do, we start off with 2 at a time. We do something like this, AABB, and then we do a moving grid. So then we do then we do BAAB, then BBAA, and then ABBA. Everybody following along? So A is the first inversion of a paradiddle. B is the second inversion. So A equals right, left, right, left, left, left. B equals right, left, right, right, left. Okay? That's what the first combinations are. And I even write those letters over the paradiddles to help you kind of cement this concept in your brain. Yeah. Oh, that's part 2. What's part 1? Whatever. Doesn't matter. The order is not that important. I put the letters over these for you guys to follow along. Honestly, you don't need to see the sticking and you don't really need to see the notes. If you can just keep track in your mind of these different inversions, then you can start to make these combinations in your head. You know, this stuff isn't super complicated. So A is right. B is. Okay, so I'm going to play 2 A's and then 2 B's. So that's 2 A's. That's 2 B's. Sorry. A, B. Okay, then we start to move. Now we shift those A's forward by a quarter note, and we've got B, A, B. If that's too complicated for you because it's lopsided, skip down to here, B, B, A. We just flip the grid backwards. Let's go to that one because it's a little simpler. So now we've got B, A. Makes sense? All right, now let's do the over the bar line ones. B, A, A, B. Now A, B, B, A. Some of you might be like, oh man, this would be so much easier if I could read it. But this is something I tell a lot of students. The time when you're going to read the most drum music is in a drum lesson. Every other time you play music, there's not going to be, I mean, there might be drum music written out, but every drum chart I've seen that's written by somebody who's not a drummer just is gross. It's terrible. It's actually better just for most of the time for me to just write my own charts. Drummers are the only people who read drum music. So these sorts of exercises are gonna only be written out in a drum book. Every other time, you're gonna have to be doing this stuff in your head. So you might as well start getting used to doing this stuff in your head. It's not that complicated once you get the vocabulary down. Once you've done it enough times, and that's just sitting on the pad, you know. We all got tons of time right now. Pick a good season of something and just paradiddles. You don't have to think about them. You don't want to think about them. That's the point. Anyway, okay, so that's the gist of the paradiddle exercises found in Groove Exercises for the Drum Set, this book. That's sort of the gist of it. After that, we go to more complicated combinations like A, B. Sometimes we'll go to 3-part combinations like A, B, C, C, or, you know, whatever. It gets pretty complicated. And it starts to, once you start to get to really advanced combinations, it's like, in my opinion, that is more just to kind of help push you. It starts to lose musicality once you think about it that much. You know, if you've ever listened to like really modern classical music that's very thought out and has lots of weird atonal stuff, it's like, it's very intellectually stimulating, but it's not very fun to listen to. And drum exercises can get that way too. They're kind of fun in the middle stage. I think chapter 6, lesson 6 in this book is the most musical of the whole book. Okay, so let's go to Paradiddle Power, and let's talk about what the difference is with that book. Paradiddle Power starts with just basic A inversion, but it's in your hands instead of your feet. Then we run permutation sets with our bass drum. The permutation sets come from this book. So if you've got this book, you've already got some of Paradiddle Power. What's in Paradiddle Power is already in this book. So there is overlap. All of the bass drum exercises, pretty much everything that's covered in this book is the first half of Paradiddle Power. The difference being it has paradiddles in the hands superimposed over everything. So the first 3 lessons are bass drums moving by 8th notes. Wherever, you know, just moving 8th notes around. Then we get into bass drums moving by 16th notes. So like on the E's and Ah's. Then we have to, in order to get the snares on 16th notes, we move both of our hands to the hi-hat, and we're doing 16th notes as paradiddles on our hi-hat. Right? You could. This isn't a substitution for alternate 16th notes. This is its own thing. It sounds different, it feels different, it creates a different groove, and it unlocks different potential here. So let's talk about this. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first exercise, we have a snare on the E, which just so happens to already be a left hand in a paradiddle. So 1 E and 2 E and all of our 2s and 4s are left hand on the snare as well. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. And just to really emphasize how different this is from alternates, it would be all right. It would alternate hands. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and alternates. Here's diddles. So I've got this. That's kind of the big difference here. All right, let's add a bass drum. Sorry, trying to get more fancy. Okay, and then we put them on the ahs, and this is where things get tricky. So we've got right, left, right, right. That second right would be our ah, and we've got a sweep. What do we do? Should we do it or not? Beginner mode, I'd say don't do it. Play it as a double. So really, we're kind of playing the and, but whatever. You know, rules are meant to be broken. So we've got if we were to do the sweep, it would sound like this. Okay, and then if we were to put the ah on the next beat, on the beat of 2. 1 E and 2 E and ah, it's with our left hand. I'm pretty comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with that, again, use both of those doubles. So let's do it with the sweep. Feels really great. I love once you get that, it's so fun to just kind of sneak that in. It's this sort of backhand left thing. That's really fun. It's a really great way to play grooves. It just feels very tight, as opposed to, you know, that's cool too, but it's a different thing, and they have a different feel. They have a different energy. They fit different styles of music. You got to be able to switch it up, you know? So let's keep it going. All right, now you combine those. You got 16th notes on your bass drum mixed with 16th notes on your snare drum. So something which would be in groove exercises like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we did that with Paraddidles, let's try something like. That would be. Pretty cool, right? Now, we get to the sort of inception part. Paradiddles inside of paradiddles. Okay, what I like, instead of doing 16th notes here, I like to switch it up and go to 32nd notes, which the next part of the book, we talk about 32nd notes and 16th note triplets. So let me talk really quickly about 32nd notes. If I double the rate here, I've got, so if I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, now I'm going to double that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still playing paradiddles. Okay, let's add our snare. That's going to be a right. Here's a place where I think the sticking is way better as paradiddles instead of those all as alternates would be quite a workout. But it's a cool sound, so you should probably be able to do both. Let's get back to paradiddles. Here's where it's a lot easier to do paradiddles between hands and feet. And then what you have to do is you have to do the doubles, right? All right, just a little follow-up to what I just posted with paradiddles. I've been practicing some of this stuff because I haven't actually gone all the way through this. I haven't gone through all this stuff in a while, and I got into it. I was like, oh yeah, this stuff's really cool. So I wanted to show you guys a couple cool things that I ran across as I was going into this. Okay, so we've got a paradiddle sticking. Sorry, I got to adjust my mic here. We had a paradiddle sticking of right, left, right, left, left, going. Sorry. Then we add, we put it both on the hi-hat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep paradiddles going in our hands, and we're going to play paradiddles between our hands and feet, which is easy if you play the paradiddle with your hands and feet that matches that of your hands. If you're playing the A inversion, it lines up perfectly. It doesn't line up perfectly if you're trying to play opposite patterns. So, for example, if you want to play B over A, with your... It creates some really interesting sticking combinations. So I wanted to run you guys through 3 that I already came across today. They're really, really kind of brain twisters. Okay, so the first one, we're going to play B over A, what I just showed you. And first thing I want to do is these really open up when you get your hands on 2 sound sources. So just sticking with regular paradiddle. Okay, so we're going to take that sticking pattern and we're going to put over it, which I have right here. And that, what it causes is these sweeps, which I came up with this notation on the fly. These sweeps going up and down. So you've got, the first one is, so, right, left, right, right, left, right, right. Then followed by so you put it together, you've got man, still tricky. Then you have to get your bass in to add these bass notes, doubling all of the cymbals. So that would be. Super funky, and there's like so many layers going on, and it takes a second to get your brain wrapped around it, but once you get that, man, it's so much fun. And the sweeps are really what make it. And all right, let's go to the next one. Now we've got B, which is right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. You know, just kind of like a backwards paradiddle. And that's going to be over A. So that's going to be over a right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left pattern. And our sweeps here, we're going to do a right going up and a left going down. I'm just going to play this one just to see if I can get it. Yeah, it kind of gets this kind of like Latin-y layered feel. All right, last one, D, which is the one that goes over the bar line. Over A. Okay, so here we've got... Again, super funky. You know, if you can get that up to speed, that's really... And the other thing is I'm playing these really strictly. If I were just like incorporating these ideas in, then there's lots of potential, you know, especially just with this sort of, this like kind of ostinato with the right hand. Again, that's a real David Garibaldi type thing. That's a real like 3 sound levels type thing. So anyway, that's the first layer of craziness that I found in here, which is super fun. And it's rewarding once you do it. It's pretty confusing up front, and I had to write it out myself. So you might want to do the same, or you could just take a picture of this. All right, let's move it on to the next advanced thing. So I played this a little bit. I was kind of struggling, though. So this is, now we've got 6 30-second notes going in our hands. And then our right hand is going to be playing the snare. So Paraddidles. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. All right, now we're going to play Paraddidles again between our hands and feet. Only this time, the thing that starts happening is, since we're playing 30-second notes so fast, we have to play the E's and the Ahs as doubles rather than sweeps, because that's really fast for a sweep. So we're going to do them as doubles. All right, so the first one I've got here, this is just an A inversion over A inversion. So... So you have two, it's kind of like two times going on at once. You've got these, whatever you want to call double times, 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4, well, like not 1 eanda, but whatever you would say for 30-second notes as paradiddles. And then half the speed of that, you're playing paradiddles here. And we have to have doubles because of the, nature of these notes. If I take the doubles out, if I were to play it all alt, it would sound like this. Again, that's cool. Like, if that's all you want to do, do it. It's great. There's no right or wrong things here. It's just all just options. So where it gets funky is when you bring in another voice. Right? I could just start going forever. All right, let's see if I can get through these other inversions. So we've got so what would that be? Try it with 3 voices. It's so cool. Even when you make mistakes doing this stuff, it sounds cool. What's next? All right, so we've got... Three voices. Too fast. And the last one would be over the bar line. So that's... What do we got? So much fun, and it's really easy to keep track of once you kind of get the system down. The way to get here is to go through Paradiddle Power. Just start at the beginning, work your way through, and that's where it ends up. All right, so that's gonna do it. That's the biggest difference between the groove exercises found, the Paradiddle exercises found in this book, and Paradiddle Power, which is available on the website. As you see, it's named Volume 1 because in the future we're going to get into stuff that's not just like a reinterpretation of this. So if you're kind of on the fence, you're like, I don't know if I want to get it. All right, don't get it. Just play through groove exercises with Paradiddles. Or watch the videos. I'm going to be posting most of that stuff online. Speaking of, I've got a full-length playthrough video of those 30-second note paradiddles with 16th note paradiddles between the feet. I will post that as a follow-up so you guys can see me play through the whole thing. I think I did it like a year and a half ago, so it's been a little out of practice. Only so many hours in the day, right? Okay. Well, I think that took up most of my time today, so I think that might just be the lesson for the day. Change is coming in the future. There will be more members-only type stuff. I'm going to start having to shift most of my lesson stuff to supporter-based, just in order to keep the lights on. So if you guys like what you see and you want to see more of it, please support. You can, buy a book. You can support me on Patreon. Doesn't have to be a bunch. I'm not asking for, $100 a month. If you just want to buy a book, it's $5. Most of them are on sale for $3. If you want to support me on Patreon, it could be $5 a month. Doesn't matter. Whatever. I like making this stuff. It makes me happy to see that you guys are getting into the books as well. So hopefully we can keep this going. If you have any questions about any of the material, please follow up, just like Anuj did. And who knows, maybe I'll just do a video for your question. And you can email me at thedrummerbrain@gmail.com for any requests as well. Sounds good? All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Practice. Stay safe. Stay happy. And happy drums to you all.